Hey, Rick here at Mathlite, and I want to talk to you today about using a notes template, in your class. And really what I've got for you is 6, I think, great reasons why you ought to consider using a notes template in your class. Here at Mathlite, that's what we provide in our curriculum, but you don't have to use ours. It's something you can do as well, but I'm just telling you, there are 6 definite advantages to your students using a notes template. What am I talking about? Well, here's an example of the notes template for our Unit 6. And this is on percents, and so this particular lesson is on fractions and decimal percent. And you can see what I'm providing the students is a framework from which to take notes. It's a great situation. Let me explain how this all came about. So I've been teaching for 30 years. I've just entered my 31st year of teaching. And I've always taught my students to use notes, to take notes in class, always from the beginning. So it was 3 years ago, and I had a student teacher. And that student teacher wanted to do what their teacher wanted them to do, and so that student teacher was up in front of the class teaching, and she was teaching by notes, and I was watching, and it took the students forever to take the notes. And the class was dragging, and I thought, this isn't good. And I decided at that point, I have to digitize my notes, and I've got to provide a copy to the students so that instead of them writing everything, they're filling in blanks. And there's some great advantages here. But you can see the idea. A lot of the stuff's there already, and then they're working off of that. Any problems there already. Later on when we get to Cartesian planes and such, it'll be right there on the page for them. What advantage? All right, so you might say, well, what's the big deal with notes? All right, well, think about this. Number one, how about help with their homework? You know, students, you're in class and you're directing them, and then they get home and they don't remember what to do. Well, they've got notes to follow, and that's a big deal. That's important with these notes to follow. How about review and study? All right, review and study. You know, students need to study math. Would you agree? I hope you do. You know, we're going to teach them so many concepts, and as they hit pre-algebra and above, the concepts increase in frequency and increase in complexity as well. And they need to study and they need to review, and guess what? The notes is going to provide that for them. What else? Well, we understand that as you write something, it helps in the remembrance. And so they're writing. You know, example problems that I give them, they're there on the paper already. Everyone's writing the example problem. They're writing their notes, helping them to remember. They're filling in blanks, helping them to remember. I'll tell you what, providing the notes template is an unbelievable time saver in the class. So therefore, it saves teaching time. And that is of utmost value. If you've been teaching for any time at all, you know that there are times when you don't have enough time to teach. And when you want your students to take notes, that's time consuming. Well, think about it. Everything that's on the page here is something they don't have to write, and it's something then that I can go a little bit more quickly with. So instead of me waiting for them to write a sentence out, I'm only waiting for them to write a word. That's great. It's a great teaching time saver, and all that time now gets put at the back end of that day's lesson. Perfect. Right where we need it, and so we've got more time. That's a big deal. Fifth thing, how about increase student attention? Increase their attention. Hey, they've got something to write. It increases their attention. That's common knowledge. They've got something to fill in, and so there's the advantage there. And then this last thought, increases comprehension. It's going to increase student comprehension as they are writing, not just listening, right? So they're writing, just not listening. All right, and one last key thought here when we're talking about the aspect of helping students with their comprehension. This is what I found. So those of you that want your students to take notes, and as I said, that's been me from day one, from the first day I started, because guess what? Back when I was in school, my math teacher, Mr. Pohl, gave notes with an overhead projector and wanted us to take notes. But here's what I found over these years. A lot of students couldn't keep up. And a lot of students were worried about writing what I had just said and were missing the explanation that I had given because they're trying to catch up and write because they're not fast. And you have them in your classroom. I'm just telling you, you do. You have students that can't keep up if they've got to write all the notes. They just can't. But guess what? When you provide that template, now they can keep up. Now they can think right along with everybody else. Instead of thinking about what to write, they can think about what you're teaching. Hey, a lot of value there. But the big deal in all of this, and a lot of these apply to just the aspect of taking notes. But when you put it into a digital format and you supply your students with these notes, and this is what I do in my classes now I get all 6 of these benefits for my students. It's a great thing. Digitized notes, it's something that we provide for every lesson we teach at MathLight. So every lesson we teach, every chapter we provide a whole chapter full of notes templates, and they're there for your students to use. What a great advantage, what a great tool, what a great key. Well, hey, I hope you'll consider using them in your classroom, whether they're ours or your own. I think you might want to consider it. And I will say this, in all honesty, when I first embarked on this, I thought, oh my, the time involved to accomplish this project is just unbelievable, unthinkable. But you know what? I paid the price and I put the time in, and now my students are reaping the benefit. Think about it, the idea of providing a notes template. Hey, we're here at MathLight and we're trying to be a help to you. Don't forget, lots of free resources at mymathlight.com.